men 5 months. Now, from what I have learned is that wings is also symbolic for mode of transportation. So either they're literal wings or it's symbolic for some kind of mode of transportation that they had as the sound of chariots. If I had to go, I'll finish this, and they had tails like on the scorpions, and they're given stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe was past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. And the second woe is listed in the same chapter. The third woe not talked about again until chapter 12, when it's talking about the coming of Satan to earth. Very well could be some kind of, I just think I described these before in this show, where I had a vision and I saw, I don't even know how to describe it, this demonic, I don't know, some kind of skeleton being thing, flying a helicopter. When I was talking about the Katrina, and how these people were, I was hearing from believers down there, and they were experiencing these black helicopters, and these were, the windows were tinted. You couldn't see in the windows of these helicopters, but every time they would come near people's homes and neighborhoods, dogs would go crazy barking. And I've always known, and I've always given a heads up to you guys, that dogs can sense an alien or demonic being, and they will bark when they're around. And so we started getting orgone down there towards New Orleans, and these people were orgoning their areas just to get these demonic beings away from their areas. But that's when I had that vision of that demonic being thing flying a helicopter. And so I find it interesting. This very well, their mode of transportation, wings with sound of chariots, and the tail talks with the tail, could be a helicopter tail. Some kind of helicopters. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that they're the helicopters we see today. The black helicopters that we've come to know as, you know, they're usually owned by FEMA, and they're usually running drugs across the country. Or harassing and intimidating the Lord's people. Some of you have had them above your houses more times than you care to count. I'm not talking about those kind, but maybe a different breed, a different kind that could arise at that time. Could be the same kind, I don't know. But some kind of, it could be all put together there and be fulfilling this part. To where they're going to be flying over mankind, harassing mankind for 5 months, tormenting them with some kind of weapons that they have. You know what? When you think about this taser comes to mind, don't it? It's like the sting of a scorpion that John relates it to. The pain is like a sting of a scorpion. Wouldn't that be like an electrical shock? I've never been stung by a scorpion, so I wouldn't know what it feels like. I'm sure it's very painful. But there you go. What about if these helicopters are equipped with some kind of tasers, and they go around tasering mankind for 5 months? Wouldn't that be lovely? And it's coming, folks. It's coming. And so, yeah. They won't be able to affect the believers with the seal of God in their forehead, this 144,000. And so for the other believers, if there's believers on earth here at this time that are still out in the open and not hidden, I was just reading something online because I've been trying to figure out a way to combat these tasers. You know, if you're being tasered, what you can use, what you can do to null and affect it. And there was somebody who had something on it, so I'll have to dig it out somewhere. I don't know yet. Maybe a mirror, because a mirror will deflect away from you. We use them to deflect satellite tech weapons away from us. Maybe if you held up a mirror, the taser would be bounced off of it and go back. I don't know. Have to search into that. Some of you tech geniuses out there, there is a way where you can deflect taser weapons. And so that we need to get that more info on that out, so that people that are here during this time can defend themselves against this torment. And this is for the Lord's people I'm talking to. I mean, Satan's people are going to be tormented. And that's, Satan always torments his own. He doesn't just hate the Lord's people, he hates everybody. Look at these people that think Satan's their best buddy in the world. Oh, they're freaks. Anyway, and so this is interesting. Because not only do you have a torment for 5 months going on, these demonic beings on helicopters with taser weapons attached to them tormenting mankind for 5 months. Then you have Abaddon, or they're led by Abaddon. But then you have the sixth angel sounding the trumpet. And I'm going to read this. It's Revelation 9:14. Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And so these are going to be four angel beings. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of a man. And I think this came out to approximately 300 and almost 400 days, 396 days to 420 days, somewhere around there, depending on years and times and all that. Anywhere from 396 to 420 days. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000 and 1,000, and I heard the number of them, 200,000. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone. The other beings had breastplates of iron. These guys have breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these 3 was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails are like unto the serpents that had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the plague, which were not killed by these, the rest of the men, which were not killed by these plagues, they repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. And so this is a pretty wild. This is before Satan arrives. Before he arrives. We haven't even gotten to his arrival yet. I'm going to bring up his arrival next week. So before Satan even arrives to Earth, folks, let's do a little backtrack overview here. Before he even arrives, we have 4 horsemen riding. The white horsemen being the Lord's people going out to prepare for war. We actually bring it on. We start the whole thing. And that was years ago. The Lord riding, sending his people out. And then you have the red horse of war, the black horse of famine that's coming, the pale horse of an alien and demonic invasion that's coming, beasts of the earth, demonic beings, stars of the heavens, angels. Once you learn the terminology and you know what to look for, you'll see these different invasions all over the place. So then you have all these different, and that's just the first seals. You have 3 different